In today's video, I want to share with you exactly how I've grown garlic in a GreenStalk. Now this is the leaf GreenStalk and I only grew in 4 tiers. I'll start by walking you through exactly how to choose your seed garlic, what we do after we receive our seed garlic, and then planting it up, and then finally harvesting the garlic. Let's get into it. When you're growing garlic in Florida, there's one crucial step you can't skip: vernalization. Since we don't get the long, cold winters that garlic needs, we chill our seed garlic in the fridge for 6 to 12 weeks before planting. That cold period signals to the plant that winter has passed so it can form a proper bulb later on. For Florida gardeners, timing matters. We plant garlic in the late fall, usually November or December, once it's been fully chilled and our nights are cooler. I'm planting mine today. It's December 10th, so it's perfect timing. I'm also planting seed garlic that I specifically bought from a store called Keen Garlic online. It's not grocery store garlic because store-bought bulbs are sometimes sprayed to prevent sprouting and they aren't adapted to Florida's climate. The variety I chose this year is an early Italian softneck, which is perfect for warm climates like ours. Hardneck varieties need much colder winters, so here in Florida, softneck is the way to go. When you separate the seed cloves from the seed bulb, choose the largest cloves first. Those are the ones that grow into your biggest garlic heads. And be gentle when you break them apart. Try to keep that papery wrapper intact right against the clove. It protects the clove from rotting in the soil. I always check for any soft or discolored cloves as I sort them, and this year, luckily, I only found one. So I'm gonna mix it up on this tarp, and I'm starting with Happy Frog potting soil. It's the same thing I used in my strawberry plants. They're doing really well. And I spoke with Susie at GreenStalk, and she highly recommends Happy Frog potting soil. So I'm gonna take her word for it. And as far as planting garlic, she also mentioned that it's a really good idea to mix in vermiculite and extra worm castings. The vermiculite is going to help with drainage to avoid any rot that might happen in garlic, especially in a container. So that's about 2 cubic feet of Happy Frog potting soil. I went and bought some vermiculite at Home Depot. This is 8 dry quarts. I think I'm going to probably go with half a bag to try to make it nice and light and fluffy. This is really lightweight. I'm choosing to do this on my driveway on a tarp so that I don't ruin the paver driveway with soil. But also, I sat here and one by one poured soil into these containers when I did the strawberries, and then I saw Homegrown Florida do it like this, and this looked way easier. So I'm gonna take her word for it, and I'm gonna mix it with a big shovel right here. These are worm castings. I'm gonna just add some in there. These ones, I'm not really sure that we need a whole lot because Happy Frog has earthworm castings in it already. So let's start with that. I'll mix it up and see how it feels. Don't do this on a windy day, at least not like this, because the vermiculite is really lightweight and I think it would just blow away. Now I chose to do my garlic in a GreenStalk this year because it's such a long-term crop. It's like 9 months to grow, and I didn't want to, I find it difficult to take up so much time with a single crop in my raised bed, especially when it comes to like amending your soil and adding compost and all that fertilizer and any other kind of amendments that you're adding. I think it's hard to work around existing long-term crops. So I thought this was a good solution. Free up the space in the raised bed for some shorter term crops. And we'll see how it goes. I think it feels really good, light and fluffy, kind of crumbly. So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep breaking up these larger pieces, make sure I got it mixed in pretty homogeneously And then I'll show you how I put it in the separate GreenStalk tiers. First, I want to show you the cup that I just put right here to cover it. In all of these tiers, we're going to want to make sure that we protect that center column from excess soil. So they used to have a stopper that would come with the GreenStalk, but they don't have it anymore. So I just found a cup in my Tupperware drawer, and I'm going to go ahead and scoop the soil right into the GreenStalk tier. And this is the leaf planter. The reason I chose the leaf is because GreenStalk has this guide on their website about whether to use the leaf or the original size for particular crops. And they recommended the leaf for garlic, so here we are. Breaking up a couple of those little thicker pieces that got by me. Now I haven't got any of this soil wet, so I'm gonna make sure I maybe add what seems like a lot because it's gonna condense when I get it wet. And then it's time to remove this. And I know I'm probably gonna have to backfill a little soil carefully right here in the center. Now, here's what I've noticed about the next part where you're supposed to put this in there. And although it says to fill the soil to the top over here, I've noticed that it doesn't really want to be that high in the center. Otherwise, this is going to be touching the soil. And it's not really, it needs a little bit of space. You know what I mean? For that water to drip. Sometimes people have issues with their watering system being clogged up. And it's most likely because there's soil in it. So there's these little holes inside the gray discs. And those holes are where the water comes out, and it's supposed to line up with each of the pockets. So hole, pocket, and so on. And I'm talking about, when I say I want space between the soil and the disc, I'm talking about right here. Like this is too high over here, but we still want it high in the pocket. I'm gonna make it a little bit deeper right here. Maybe remove a little soil or press it down to give that watering disc some clearance. Much better spacing between the disc and the soil. Okay, so I'm opening up some balanced fertilizer. It's a 444 slow release. And the reason I picked 444 is because we really want something with phosphorus. So make sure you pick one that's got equal or better parts of phosphorus in relation to the nitrogen or potassium. And so I've got my garlic cloves right here, all ready to go. I already sorted through the good ones and the bad ones. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dig a little hole in each spot. And I'm gonna put about a tablespoon in each one. It says 1 to 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to go with one, and then maybe I'll add a liquid fertilizer in a month or so. And I say liquid just because liquid is a little easier in the GreenStalk once it's all set up. But right now, at the time of planting, granular is plenty easy, right? So I'm going to take my hori-hori knife and mix it up. And you know what? Maybe I put this on too early. I'm going to take that off and I'll redo that at the end. I'm just mixing it in a little bit. If you guys don't have a hori-hori knife, this is like the best tool for gardening. I use it when I'm transplanting. I use it for so many things. It's like my favorite tool. And then what we're going to do is take our cloves. They say the biggest ones create the biggest bulbs. And what we're going to do is make sure that we put the sprout side up. And I'm shooting for about 2 inches deep. Let's see how... This has markers on it, so 2 inches is about there on my finger. I'm going to make sure that I plant it right there. And then move that soil right on top. Again, clear out the space for that watering disc. Repeat the process. You can go deeper if you're in a raised bed, but in a container, usually about 2 to 3 inches is all you want for depth. The reason we want that sprout side up is because if you were to put it the opposite direction, the sprout would probably have to do so much more work just to flip around and be able to come up out of the soil. And it's probably not going to have the energy to do that. That's why these planting depth guidelines exist in the first place. Now we're going to put this watering disc back on, lining up the holes. And we're going to add a healthy amount of mulch. I like to use the straw mulch. This is easy straw mulch that I pick up at Tractor Supply. But I've also seen it on Amazon, and I buy it on Amazon only when Tractor Supply is out of stock because it's cheaper at Tractor Supply. I like plenty of mulch, especially at the beginning, because this stuff breaks down so quickly here in Florida that a light layer is only going to last you like a month, and then you're going to be remulching. So don't worry. You can always push the mulch aside if you start seeing a sprout coming up and you want to give it a little more room or a little more sunlight. And there you have it. That is tier number 1. I'm going to repeat on 3 more tiers so I can have a 4-tier leaf GreenStalk planted up with garlic. All right, now it's time to put it together. I'm going to start with my ultimate mover, and I'm going to make sure that I lock a couple of the wheels so that it doesn't move around too much when we're doing this. Don't worry, I'm going to give you close-up views as we go through. Oh, I've got it locked already. We're going to start with tier number 1. Make sure the water disc is clear. We're going to put it on the mover. And before I try to align it, I'm going to bring the camera closer and show you. There we go. See, it's nicely secured inside the mover. Second tier. See what we're going for. This is wrong, obviously. I need to align it, but I wanted to show it to you. See, there's like this it's supposed to sit nicely right there, and it probably will after I go through and get all of them to sit nicely like that. A little closer. A little closer. And one more. There we go. Now it's time for the water reservoir, and then I'll mulch that top layer. I was just waiting to mulch until I put this water reservoir on top for the same reason as the gray discs. I didn't really want the mulch underneath the disc, just like I didn't really want the mulch underneath the water reservoir. So there you have it. I'm gonna put this nice cute little lid on top to keep out any critters, and just because it looks cute and I like it. It's got a little bee on it. Now it's time for the mulch and the water. Do you see that hole right there? I'm going to turn that the other way because I don't want the water to drain into my driveway. I want it to drain into my mulch bed over there. Now we're going to water it in. I'm going to water from the top here. I'm also going to water each pocket, specifically right now to prevent the mulch from blowing away like it's doing right now. You got to get it a little bit wet so it sticks. And also, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but this is not a level surface. And so what happens with the GreenStalk watering system on a non-level surface is that most of the water is going to go downhill, right? It's going to go down on this side. And so I'm definitely going to need to water the pockets over here to compensate. I'm going to start by removing the water reservoir. And then it looks like some of the garlic cloves didn't really do much. I planted in all of the pockets, but it looks like, for example, on the top, I've got 2 pockets where it worked and 4 pockets where it didn't. Let's talk about how we know that it's ready to harvest. The best way to tell is by looking at the leaves, and if you have at least like a quarter of the leaves turning brown. I've actually cut a lot of them off because I have it on the front porch here and I didn't want it to look so dead. But you can see lots of the garlic has been browning right here, and so I know it's ready to harvest. And I'm going to gently dig it up and see what it looks like. Oh, that one looks pretty good. I'm going to check the other pockets, even though I don't see any sprouts, just to see what happened. Yeah, sure enough, here's the seed garlic that didn't do anything. Take out the watering disc. And then this one probably looks like it might be the biggest garlic of all. So let's see. Oh yeah, looks pretty big. This one looks good. All right, that's all the garlic. It looks the best. It looks like the biggest and the best garlic I've ever grown, for sure. So here's the final harvest out of a 4-tier leaf GreenStalk. I had some pockets where the cloves didn't really do anything, and I wonder if that's because I planted them too deep or another issue like that. But the ones that were on the very bottom tier, that's where I put the biggest cloves when it was planted, and those are the ones that produce the biggest bulbs. The next step is to cure this garlic. Curing is essential if you want it to store for long term. To cure the garlic, I plan to put it on a shelf in a cool, dark place with some airflow for about 2 weeks. I'll rotate them periodically every few days when I walk in there. And then once they're cured, they're going to be ready for longer term storage. I'm definitely going to be trying this approach again next year, and I think I'm going to go with the full 7 tiers, maybe even a second GreenStalk, because honestly I wanted a little bit more garlic than this. So I hope this video helps you. See you next time, guys.